Before we begin our proceedings, I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Aurora Nation, on whose land we meet today. I pay my respects to the elders past and present, and also to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Please be upstanding for the national anthem of Australia and the national anthem of the Republic of Slovenia.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. With golden soil and wealth foretold, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair. Живена си народи, ki hrepele dočaka dan, tako da sonce hodi, prepiri sveta bo pregnan. Korojak, prost povsak, ne vrag, le sosed pomejak. Korojak, prost povsak, ne vrag, le sosed pomejak, le sosed pomejak.
Thank you, ladies. And they deserve it, right? On behalf of Honorary Consul Anthony Tomažin and Her Excellency Helena Drnovšek Zorko, Ambassador for the Republic of Slovenia, I would like to welcome our host at Parliament House, the Honorary Shelley Hancock MP, Speaker of the New South Wales Legislative Assembly and the Member of for South Coast. Ministers from both Houses of Parliament. In particular, the representative for Premier Mike Baird, the Honorary Anthony John Sidoti MP, Parliamentary Secretary and Member for Drnovšek, the Honorary Drnovšek MLC, Minister for Ageing, Disability Services and Minister for Multiculturalism, the Honorary Ernst Wong, Member for the New South Wales Legislative Council, representing Luke Foley, Mr Guy Zangari MP, Shadow Minister for the Justice and Police and Shadow Minister for Corrections and Shadow Minister for Emergency Services, the Honorary Michael Dale MP, Deputy Leader of the Opposition, the Honorary D.A. Elliott MP, Minister for Corrections, Minister for Emergency Services and Minister for Veteran Affairs, Mr Jonathan O'Day MP, Parliamentary Secretary for Trade, Tourism and Major Events, Ms J.D. Finn, Member for Granville. It's a big list, isn't it? And I thank them all for coming. And what I will also do is acknowledge the other particularly invited guests today, so they do not have to be mentioned in later speeches. I would like to thank the Honorary Consuls for the following countries. Mr Adrian Vadovic from Slovenia. From Austria, the Vice Consulate, Ms Shanae Hubman. From Croatia, Mr Horgoj Petrušić. From Germany, Mr Lothar Freischleuder. From Greece, Mr Stavros Kirimias. From Indonesia, Mr Yayan Mulyana. From Italy, Mr Arturo Arcano. From Kiribati, Mr Paul Thomas Cambridge Wenham. From Malta, Mr Salvino Grusti. From the Philippines, Mrs Anne Halandon Luis. From Portugal, Ms Carla Sofia Cansado de Acevedo Batala. From Romania, Dr Flirosiel Paul Mocanu. From Russia, Mr Sergei Borosovich Shipolov. From Serbia, Mr Branko Radosovic. From Switzerland, Mr. Ernst Steinmann, and from Turkey, Mr. Kafa Asik, Acting General Consul. We also have the representative from the Chambers of Commerce from Denmark, Mr. David McClellan, from the Netherlands, Mr. Bert Bardell, from Norway, Mrs. Sophia Demetirius. And the leaders, in particular, of the Slovenian community in New South Wales. Pater Darko Nedarcic from St. Raphael's Mission, and the leaders of our Slovenian clubs and associations, Mr. Peter Kreper, Mr. Stefan Schernik, Mrs. Maria Grossman, Mr. Ivan Rudolph, and Mr. Greg Pickering from Mounties Group Sydney. And I also would like to thank all of the friends of the Slovenian community who have arrived here today. Today we celebrate the 25th Statehood Day of Slovenia. And before we go on, could you please give me a clap for getting through all those names? It was difficult. And I do not need to be reminded how many I got wrong. I now invite Her Excellency Ms. Helena Drnovšek Zorko, Ambassador for the Republic of Slovenia, to address our gathering, who will be followed by the Honorary John Sidoti, member of the Legislative Council, Minister for Ageing, Disability Services and Multiculturalism. Thank you.
Dragi gostje, dober dan. Honorary Shelley Hancock, our co-host, thank you for co-hosting this event and being here with us today. Ministers from both houses, members of Parliament, members of the Consular Corps here in Sydney, members of the Slovenian community, dear friends. I wish to thank you all that you accepted our invitation and joined us today at the reception celebrating 25 years of the independence of the Republic of Slovenia. This is one of the many events marking this important milestone when Slovenian people for the first time in history were given the opportunity to build their own state. And there will be the main celebration on Saturday, on the day, the 25th of June, in our capital, Ljubljana as well. Allow me to very briefly revisit the beginnings. The chronology shows that Slovenia was first recognized as an independent state by the countries that went through a similar process. The first recognition came on the next day, 26th June 1991, by the neighboring Croatia. And I want to take this opportunity to also congratulate Croatia on its National Day. And then the new countries like Baltic countries followed as well. Official recognition from Australia came as early as on 16 January 1992, and it was the second non-European state, following Canada, to officially recognize the Slovenian independence and sovereignty. The act was signed by the then Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade, Senator Gareth Evans. Among other things, he stated that, I quote, "The Slovenian community in Australia has played an important role in the economic and cultural affairs of this country. It constitutes a significant and special link between our two countries." And the end of the quote. And I wish to take this particular occasion to pay tribute to the members of the Slovenian community who continue to play an important and constructive role in fostering ties between our two countries. Slovenia then, on 22nd of May 1992, joined the United Nations. And with this act, it was definitely put on the map of independent, sovereign and equal members of the international community. And the importance of this day is shown that Slovenia every year on 22nd of May celebrates the day of Diplomacy Day. Today we are the member of the European Union and of NATO. We are a member of the OECD and important international and regional organizations like Council of Europe, Organization for Cooperation and Security and Cooperation of Europe, and so on. As a young state, Slovenia during its term in the UN Security Council at the end of the 90s, when our permanent mission to the United Nations was led by Dr. Drnovšek, who was also then the President of Slovenia, performed its duties with due professionalism and responsibility. And it's my pleasure to state that Dr. Tirk is now one of the highly competent and professional candidates for the highest post within the United Nations. And now, in our second term in the UN Human Rights Council, we continue to demonstrate our commitment to the purposes and principles enshrined in the United Nations Charter, such as respect for the sovereign equality of all states, for the self-determination of peoples, a policy of peace, the peaceful settlement of disputes, and respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. All these principles have been part of Slovenia's foreign policy priorities for 25 years. The same applies to our commitment to integration into Euro-Atlantic structures, to good neighborly relations and good relations with other partners, to respect for international law, and to service for the benefit of Slovenian minorities and Slovenians around the world. Thank you again for being here with us, and I wish you all the best on Slovenia National Day. In članom slovenske skupnosti in rojakom iskrene čestitke in hvala, ker ste se nam pridružili.
And now I invite the Honorary John Sidoti to provide a speech. Thank you.
And thank you. Dobar dan, drago gosti. Welcome. Can I firstly acknowledge the traditional land which we meet and pay respect to the elders both past and present. It's great to be here today representing the New South Wales Government, in particular the Honourable Minister John Ajaka, Minister for Multiculturalism, Minister for Ageing, Minister for Disability Services and Minister for Volunteering. It doesn't leave too much more. But can I say he was a bit disappointed not being able to be here because he was really looking forward to this. He's actually got a bill in the House as we speak, which he's leading, and as a result it's a bit chaotic today, but he will try at some point to come in to visit. Can I also acknowledge Mrs. Helena Zorko, Ambassador of the Republic of Slovenia, Mr. Anthony Tomažin, Honorary Consul of the Republic of Slovenia, my parliamentary colleague, the Honourable Shelley Hancock MP, Speaker of the Legislative Assembly. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And of course, there's Mr. Guy Zangari, Member for Fairfield, representing the Leader of the Opposition, and all my parliamentary colleagues that have been mentioned. Can I also pay respect to the members of the Consular Corps here today and the wonderful job you do in leading your great communities in this great state of Australia. It's my great pleasure to be here today for the 25th anniversary of the Slovenian Statehood Day. This reception marks the occasion on the 25th of June 1991, when the Republic of Slovenia declared itself an independent and sovereign state from Yugoslavia. Australia was one of the first nations to recognise the Republic of Slovenia and establish diplomatic relations in 1992. Since then, our relationship has been built on long-standing community ties, has been built on our trade, and has been built on our cultural exchanges that are constantly growing. One of the first known Slovenians to travel Australia was Matija Helena, who worked on board the Austro-Hungarian Navy when it circumnavigated the world in a historic voyage in 1858, docking here at our Sydney harbour. Since then, Slovenians have been among the migrants who have worked so hard after World War II to transform this great nation. The labour on such projects as the Snowy Mountains scheme was essential to build our modern infrastructure. Many Slovenians did the dangerous work of tunnelling underground, saving their money to invest in their homes, saving their money to invest in their businesses, and saving their money to invest for the future. Along the way, they added their own traditions to Australian culture, enriching our food, enriching our music, enriching our heritage, and that's what we're all very, very proud of to this day. Today there are more than 17,000 Australian residents who claim Slovenian ancestry. Slovenians can be found on every continent of the world. Their work ethic and their thirst for education make them welcome wherever they settle. And that is certainly true in this state, which has welcomed migrants from 225 different birthplaces. Slovenia may be a young nation, celebrating its 25th year of statehood this year, but it has a very, very rich culture, one that values language, one that values heritage, and one that, of course, values traditions. On behalf of the New South Wales Government, I'm delighted to congratulate the people and government of Slovenia on the occasion of Slovenian Statehood Day. Thank you and hvala.
Thank you. Thank you. I thank Her Excellency Helena Drnovšek Zorko and the Honorary John Sidoti for providing those speeches. And I now invite the Honorary Consul for the Republic of Slovenia in New South Wales, Mr. Anthony Tomažin, to provide a short speech for today's events. And following Mr. Tomažin's speech, I invite the Honorary Shelley Hancock, Speaker of the New South Wales Legislative Assembly, Member for South Coast, to provide a response.
Actually, I've got two speeches, but I will do a short one. It is with a great pride and gratitude that I address you as the Honorary Consul for the Republic of Slovenia and New South Wales. Slovenia is, in relative terms, a young but fast maturing country. Slovenia may have only declared independence on the 25th of June 1991, a quarter of a century ago, but in the hearts of the people here and within Slovenia, it has always been our home. Our language, our music, our culture, and our beautiful Alps, valley and coast all tie us to Slovenia. We are a proud nation, a clever country, an active country, and a country that values living in harmony with others and nature. From all of Europe, it was Ljubljana, capital of Slovenia, that was chosen as the Green Capital of Europe 2016. With 1,540 projects completed in 8 years to improve the quality of living of our citizens, and almost 75% of the city covered with green areas. Today, Slovenia enjoys the support and respect of all the international community. Slovenia is an economically advanced country, which is the first among the new EU member states to qualify for the adoption of the single European currency. Slovenians are basically good-hearted and talented Slavic people who already for 1200 years had our own language and culture. Thank you, and I look forward to working with you to promote friendship and bilateral trade between our two great nations.
Thank you, Anthony. I now invite the Honorary Shelley Hancock MP, Speaker of the House, to provide her speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mark. Well done on that pronunciation to you. And welcome to all, of course, my parliamentary colleagues, first of all. To all of our visitors and guests to Parliament House today. It's always a wonderful journey to come to Parliament House and to hear what happens here in Parliament House. And yesterday, Her Excellency Ambassador visited Question Time on a very bad day. A very bad day. She must have imagined what goes on here in Parliament House. But yesterday, of course, was Budget Day. And the Question Time following Budget Day is always very rowdy. So I apologise for the behaviour of some of our members of Parliament, Your Excellency. You enjoyed it. Lots of people do enjoy it, but I never do. When they're rowdy, I prefer them to behave. Well, it's absolutely been my honour to be able to host this event today. And of course I see not only Slovenian citizens, but of course other honorary consuls who I've met from time to time, and it's good to see the support that's come from other consuls throughout Sydney. Of course, you've heard from the member for Drnovšek, Mr. Sidoti, has had to go back into the chamber because we have obviously sittings occurring at the moment, so he does apologise for having to leave fairly early. But of course, he has taken you through some of the history, and so have our other guest speakers, taken you through the history of Slovenia, a very young country. Of course, in Australia, we think we're a young country, but 25 years is extremely young. And for Slovenia to have emerged as such a strong nation is remarkable in 25 years. And what we value in Australia here is, of course, our National Day. But what we value today, of course, is your National Day, but the very strong relationships that we have here in New South Wales and Australia with your country. So that's why I'm very pleased to be able to have acknowledged this day today for you. Also, could I also say, and I think the Minister touched on this, that there are 7,000 Slovenian-born Australians. That doesn't sound like a lot, but of course there are many others, 17,000, who actually claim Slovenian ancestry. So that is a lot. And in speaking to a number of people who are here today that I spoke to earlier, many of them reside in Sydney. There are some in Melbourne, of course, and there are some in Wollongong and in the various suburbs throughout Sydney. So you have certainly made your presence known in this country, and we appreciate your presence and your contributions to our country, as we do with all of those who came in great waves, especially after Second World War. So thank you for your presence here today. Thank you for your presence as a country. And thank you for our friendship and our strong ties, which we value enormously. Now, it's going to be my job to actually raise a toast. So I'm going to ask you now to make sure your glasses are charged and to make sure that somebody gets me a glass. Because I can't raise a toast without a glass. If there's somebody up the back, you can get me a glass, and make sure you all have yours, because I'm going to practice my pronunciation as well. We all got our glasses raised? You've got that one? Oh, make-believe. We've got some make-believe glasses, that's all right. But I think I need to have one. Water will be fine. Do you have any of my staff up there? My staff have gone. Oh, look. Now there's champagne popping there. Ah. All right, we all got our glasses charged. So it is with very great pleasure that I raise a glass to celebrate Slovenia's 25th year anniversary. Cheers and Nazdruye! How was that pronunciation? Nazdruye! Not as good as you, Martin. Not as good as yours.
So thank you, and allow me also to propose the toast to the Queen Elizabeth II and to the people of New South Wales.
To the Queen, to the people of New South Wales. Now, cheers. Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you.
This concludes our official part of the program, and I would invite you to stay here for at least the next hour while we have some food brought out and some further drinks. But I thought I would leave you with this last bit of information about Slovenia, which I only received this morning via my sister-in-law as a text message to a link. And it said, if you're looking to book a low-risk holiday but don't know where to begin, based on the recently released 2016 Global Peace Index ranking by the Institute for Economics and Peace, Slovenia is the 10th safest place in the world. Have a great afternoon.